Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Hope everybody's had a good week this week. Of course, this is the night we, of course, will be doing the indie comic showcase. Be highlighting that. Also, of course, for wrestling wrap up and this day in each history, we'll of course give people a chance to come in. As always, of course, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get more friendly people in here to engage. I'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll do the best I can to answer those questions. So as I said, we're just waiting on people to show up. See if he shows up. Give them a few minutes to get in here. Hopefully, everybody's having a good week thus far. So, yeah, let's see. Alrighty then. So, anyways, of course, if there's anything you guys want to ask about or talk about, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability, of course. As I said, we're just waiting to give people a chance to get in here. Let's see, we're just past the 2 minute mark here. Just looking, waiting around, see if anybody else shows up. Not, and we will probably get going pretty quick here. Anyways. Alright, so let's see now. Let's see. And now we're coming up on 3 minutes, so I think what I will do, I guess I will. Normally I would wait till the 5 minute mark, but I think we'll go ahead and get started here at the 3 minute mark. So let me pull up the information for today that we will be covering, which is, of course, the Indie Comics Showcase article. We'll be highlighting, of course, a lot of the information there. All right. And with that, I might be slightly behind there, but that's okay. Alrighty then. So with that, why don't we go ahead and get going here on the article here. We're now at the 4 minute mark. All right. So Indie Comic Showcase number 252, Vindicated Inc., Ivarian, and Orias, Jewels and the Power of the Gems. Article by Chris Braley, published yesterday, December 13th. So here we go. Welcome back to another installment of Indie Comics Showcase, a weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding some way, or just completely self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle. And of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers, or of course, watch this channel as we cover it as well. we cover it as well. On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the product for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully cut support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. Iverion, Curse of the Crown by Luca Brico. All right. Curse of the Crown. That's like a very interesting title there. Let me see. And I'm sure we will probably have. Let me see now as we. And here, of course, is the. I'm going to go grab the link here to share with everybody. This is a Fun My Comic source material. All right, so there we go with that one. So there's the link to that particular. So when you guys want to check that out, there's the link to it. Let's look at the interview here. Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, Luke. Tell us about your graphic novel, Iverion, Curse of the Crown. Luca Brico. Syra, a warrior princess, finds herself in the midst of an invasion of Rokashi marauders, all while she tries desperately to I think that's supposed to be sever, not severe. Sever the ties between her world and the nightmare realm. And so a single question arises as she fights these eldritch abominations. What is the cost of staring into the abyss? Iverion, Curse of the Crown, Volume 1, is a full-color, 150-plus page high fantasy femme fatale comic book. I guess that's Iverion right there. Or, I guess, no, Iverion's the name of the title, but Syra, I guess that's Syra, the main character of the book. And quite a looker, too, to top it all off, as it were. Chris, where did the idea for this comic come from and made you decide to self-publish it? Luca, this comic book is set in Athoria, a fantasy world I've been developing for nearly 2 decades. Now I have a massive roster of fictional characters that are eagerly awaiting to join the story. In parentheses here, some very soon, and some maybe in another decade. It sounds like he's got a bit of a long-range plan, doesn't he? All of these characters were inspired by different things. In parentheses, mostly metal music, in parentheses, and made at different phases of my life. And as such, they mean quite a lot to me. This is one of the reasons I've always wanted to go indie, as it's the only way I can guarantee the characters remain faithful to my original visions, and not simply morphed and adapted to a passing trend that the marketing team wanted. Or that some editor wanted, I guess, as we've been talking a lot about that as well. Chris, what audience is this aimed at? Luca. The quickest pitch for this comic is high fantasy femme fatale. So it's mostly aimed at a 20 plus demographic who have always enjoyed some form of fantasy. But be it through books from authors like Lovecraft, Tolkien, and Robert E. Howard, or video games like Skyrim, World of Warcraft, or Guild Wars 2. I've always been heavily influenced by extreme and very melodic metal genres. So anyone who enjoys that type of music, aesthetic, or general culture should find themselves at home in my world. As far as what I think the best rating for a variant would be, it's teen plus. So anyone who's 15 or above and feeling curious about the comic is more than welcome to pick it up. Like you're saying, I think it's aimed at the youngest. The youngest members of the audience should be, older teenagers, 15, 16, 17 and up. I think what he's saying there. See if we have anybody come in yet. Nope. Doesn't look like it. As always, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more people in here to engage. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the question to the best of my ability. E R. I think I put A. Let me see if I can make a slight correction here. Let's see. Oh, I guess I. No, that's not what I was. All right. Oh well, I think people will still understand it. Anyways, moving on to the next question here. Chris, this is your first serious comic book project, isn't it? Isn't it? How did you approach the work? Luca. Um, this is my first serious foray into the world of comics. I've worked with some other indie authors on a couple of covers and pages, but I've mostly been a professional freelance illustrator. The creative process is an ongoing experience for me. Whatever I'm doing, I always have the comic in the back of my head, fishing for ideas and improvements to the story. All of these ideas then transition into notes, and then a script. Once a script is done, I create a page a day from scratch to the best of my abilities. And sometimes this requires me to wake up early and go to bed late. As of writing this, 104 pages are free to read on Global Comics, and I'm currently on page 114. There's an estimated 150 to 170 pages, depending whether or not I need an extra few pages to round out chapter 3. And whether we reach the stretch goal, quote, Rena's nightmare, unquote, which will add another 4 to 8 pages. I'm currently working at a steady pace, making a page a day, with the occasional 1 or 2 days off every week. So the project should be done somewhere in January. Oh, pretty much just around the corner. Oh, that's interesting. Wow, I think he's got some Star Trek influence in there. Those girls right there kind of remind me of the Orion slave girls in that one um, Star Trek episode. Chris, what have you been learning from self-publishing and creating through this project? Luca, two things. Even if you're a one-man show, you're not really a one-man show. You, in parentheses, as a creative, un, parentheses, depend heavily on a wide network of printing, manufacturing, and shipping, and I am absolutely blessed to have found a combination that works for me. The second one is that passion and quality are by far the best marketing tools. I've seen quite a few podcasts with fellow creatives, and the ones that have the best careers are the ones that are the most passionate about the stories and characters. Let's see, Chris, do you have more stories planned? Is this a series? Luca, my ambition is to turn Ivarian into a franchise that I can work on for decades to come. The stories, art, ideas, and motivation are all there. The only thing that's left to see is whether the audience will react with the same enthusiasm for the story that I have. So it looks like he does plan on building a world here then. As of right now, I'm crowdfunding Volume 1, and there will be several more chapters, volumes for Ivarian. Curse of the Crown is done. After that, Ivarian switches to another book set in the same universe, much like a role-playing game would with an expansion. And there's Syra right there. Wouldn't that be a nice nice image to come home to? Chris, I wish you good luck. Before we sign off, is there anything else you would like to share with our readers? Luca, thank you, Bleeding Fool, for giving me a platform, and thank you, dear reader, for giving me the time of the day. I sincerely hope I can entertain and inspire you for years to come. Take care. And then Chris says, "Thanks, Luke." Okay, so before we get into the next part of the article here, I do have to step away from it. Oh, hey, Metal. Global Comics is a really good site. Yeah. I do need to step away from the computer for a moment, so I will be right back. If you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my abilities. So, anyways, I do need to step away from the computer for a moment. I'll be back. Put the music on while I'm done. So I'll be back in a moment. All right, I'm back. Let me. So now we're going to move on to this next article. Or next part of the article, anyways. Um, Vindicated Inc. by Jerry Cassell. It says here the amazing first ever disabled veteran action hero comic Vindicated Inc. So let me see. And let me go grab the link here. And another Fund My Comic the Fund My Comic project. Here's another one you can go check out if you guys want to here. All right. There it is. If you guys want to go check out that one after the show. All right, so let's get into this one. So Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, Jerry. I've been waiting for this. Briefly tell us the elevator pitch for Vindicated Inc. Jerry Cassell. Meet the Seattle vigilante. Like so many comic heroes, this warrior hides his identity. But his identity isn't the only secret he has to keep. After grievous wounds received during combat, Tier 1 operator John Russell begins to recover and come to terms with his new reality of being an amputee. As he learns how to use his new prosthetic limb, he finds himself caught up in the bureaucratic red tape that too many wounded veterans experience, the exhausting med board process. Out of sheer frustration, John takes it out on the criminal scum of the city. But when reality kicks in, John realizes he's started something that is having an impact on the greater world around him, and thus has to reevaluate his motives. Moreover, how far he is willing to go to weed out crime and corruption. Just how far will he have to go? From the creator of IDW's award-winning graphic novel, Code Word Geronimo, comes a new story about a different kind of warrior. Vindicated Inc., the first of its kind, disabled veteran action hero comic. Oh, that sounds interesting. See if anybody has commented on that yet. Nope, I guess not. Chris, as a military veteran myself, I want to know what inspired this book. Jerry, I've worked in comics off and on for 35 years. I made more money as an artist for magazines and ad agencies, but in 2010, IDW changed the course of my art career, and I went all in on comics. I dislike monthly deadlines, so I focused more on doing graphic novels. I served as a combat medic in the U.S. Army and met some amazing men and women. One morning in 2013, I was driving 2 blocks to drop off rent, and I had an idea to do a darkly funny comic strip about wounded warriors. To show how they think and feel, that idea blossomed within the 15-minute trip into Vindicated Ink. Um, I had the entire story in my head by the time I got home. I immediately called my buddy Jeff Searcy at Wounded Warrior Project and told him my idea, and he loved it. In fact, he wrote the afterword for the book. I was ready to finish the book when I was hit by a series of personal professional setbacks. Now, 10 years later, I am ready to finally finish. The idea to self publish came from bad experiences I had taking my story ideas to bigger publishers, and a talk from my late friend Tommy Castillo. He said, quote, "Screw taking your ideas to publishers. Do it yourself. Keep the control over your ideas," unquote. As we've, of course, been seeing more and more of in the last 4 or 5 years here, right? Chris, love it. Who is your intended audience for Vindicated Ink? Jerry, males from age 18 and older that like realistic action stories about soldiers. I still have a few females who like it, but a majority will be men. There is realistic violence and bad language in it, so it's not for kids. I would say this would be the equivalent of an R rated film. All right, good to know. Chris, let's get into your creative process and your team a little bit. How long have you been drawing? Is the question. Jerry, I have drawn my entire life. My mother said I was born with a pencil in my hand, to which I retorted, quote, I'm sorry about that. I bet it hurt. Yeah, I guess that would hurt if your child is holding a pencil as you're giving birth to it. That probably hurts even more than usual. Ah, I did most of the writing and all the art because it is a passion project. But my buddy, Richard Bonk, a fellow comic book artist who has worked for Marvel, DC, and others, is drawing the flashback chapter. I also got some help from a few writers back when I started the project um, for who got paid and will still get credit in the book. But I rewrote everything over the last decade to better suit my ideas of the story I wrote. It veered too far away from the story, but I will still hail my writer buddies, Mac, aka Robert McCall, and Shane Moore. Shane, who also serves as a model for Detective Sergeant Frank Tedesco, a half American Indian, half Italian Seattle cop. More importantly, are my behind the scenes team helping make this happen. No man is an island, as they say. My team is made up of Martin Acosta Santana, John Schmidt, and Isaac Fisher, who made the trailer for the campaign. What are you learning from self publishing through the process? Chris asked. Jerry in response, it is all on you, the creator, period. I like it, but it is also scary as hell. My military service helped me in this department. Nothing prepares you for how to deal with pressure than being in a situation where you got bullets flying over your head and just hoping and praying that you don't get struck by one. Um, Chris, let's chat about your crowdfunding campaign a bit. Is there going to be more to the story if you hit your goals? Is the question. Jerry responds, this is the first of at least 3 planned Vindicated Inc. graphic novels following John Russell and what the shady government agency is up to with him, as well as the villain Rollins. Will he live or die? We have a nice $50 tier where you get a printed copy of the graphic novel, bookmark, and signed 11 by 17 pinup art print, and a bigger tier of $500, which includes a printed copy of the graphic novel, bookmark, and signed print, commissioned original art. Okay. Chris, thanks, Jerry. I like this concept and hope you do well with it. Any final words for our readers? Jerry, I'm so proud and honored that both Chuck Dixon and Mike Barron are singing praises for my work, and that Mike Barron is actually writing the introduction to my book. Just that, this has been part of my life for a decade. I hit some serious low points, but I am back with a fire in my belly to finally finish book 1 and begin working on the following books. This is a story I have wanted to tell for years. Chris, so glad it's finally here. Now, here's the next book we'll be talking about, of course. Urias, Jules, and the Power of the Gems by Mike K. So let me go grab. Now we got that part. Let me grab the link. So this one's being distributed by Walmart. You want to check this out? Here's the link to the thing. All right, so there's the link to that. If you guys want to check that out. All right. And now, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the article here, or get into this part of the article, anyways. Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, Mike. Tell me what Urias, Jules, and the Power of the Gems is all about. Mike K. Awkward dad discovers an extraterrestrial gem that transforms him into a superhero. He looks to discover other gems before they activate. The comic is 24 action-packed color pages and is aimed at teenage to adult age readers. Chris, tell me where the idea for this comic came from and led to you deciding to self-publish. Mike, in 1980 science class, I learned that humans are composed of elements on the periodic table. I thought how condensed to our basic elements, where does our soul go? I began to work on a comic called Amphoman in 1989 and did the entire book myself. It was too pricey to print back then, so I stuck it in a closet. Fast forward 1995, I began chatting with Mort Walker. He mentored me on creating comic strips. I published comic strips in a college paper called The Observer. Those strips were called Amphoman Presents, kind of a spin-off of the book that I couldn't afford to print or publish. Once again, after 2 years of that, I threw my work back into the closet. We had our very own Squibbly here, I guess. A kid cartoonist, kid art, kid comic artist here. Had our very own Squibbly in our world here. Squibbly Gibbet. Eventually, in 2009, I decided to self-publish. I start creating more issues of Amphoman by myself, but only printing minute quantities and selling them at local shows. I took all my published comic strips and put them in a 3-part comic book trilogy called Amphoman Funnies 1 through 3. Again, printing a limited number and selling locally. Well, makes sense. You don't want to extend yourself too far when you're just starting out, right? Because, you could bust pretty quickly, if you try to do too much at once, starting off. Now, this 2-part Arias Jewel series is a prequel to my life's work on Amphoman, and I've been loosely targeting a goal that includes the release of perhaps one last Amphoman finale. Just here are some of the books here. Very interesting color scheme he uses there. Epic. Tell us about you. Tell us about you approached producing or I guess Chris forgot to put in the word how, or whoever's typing this up forgot how you approached producing this comic. Mike, I have endless ideas without focus, so I freestyle write and review later, seeing which ideas are the most unique, then move forward on that direction. I saw an article where Platinum Studios, working with Echelon, so I contacted them and borrowed their staff. It was expensive. It took several months to finish this volume, and now book 2 is ready to go, but has not yet been released by Advent Comics. There's Arias Jewels in the front there. Chris, there's some personal stuff in this too, isn't there? Mike, yes. One of the characters in the series was changed from a villain in the original Amphoman to a hero in Urias Jewels. But since the big finale taking place in the next book has not yet been released, no one knows who it is yet. The inspiration for this change in characters' morals is from a time when my own son was acting out of his mind, which was diagnosed to be PTSD, stress-induced PTSD, more specifically from a tragedy he encountered. This character I created decades ago reflected similar traits, so I revised it to coincide with what I was going through with my own child, who is not a villain, but a victim of himself. Let's see. Chris, fascinating, Mike. Any last words you'd like to mention before we wrap up this week's Independent Comic Showcase? Mike, back when I self-published, I realized how the one-man show is a merciless struggle that includes a gamut of emotions, from determination and confidence to depression and struggle. I originally thought I'd be selling hundreds of books, but quickly realized a hard day's work looked more like 10 copies sold as a show. Every reader matters. Chris, I couldn't agree more. We're rooting for you, Mike. So that's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign and have a comic available for purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly column, click here and follow Indie Comic Showcase on Twitter at Indie Comics, and reach out to them for more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Till next time, support Indie Comics. There you go. Alrighty then. So that's it for that article. As you guys see, I still have the here are the links to those campaigns if you guys want to check them out. All right. So with that, I think it would be a good time now to do a little bit of, as we have quite a few things going on here in the wrestling side of it, a wrestling wrap up. First off, in some news involving both WWE and AEW, there seems to be stuff going on with potential TV deals, as of course, as Tony Khan is still trying to secure continuing TV deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. WEF is apparently there are people at Warner Brothers Discovery have shown interest in bringing Raw to Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, I think most of us know of WWE's business, even though with them being bought up by TKO and the merger with TKO Holding and stuff like that, we'll see how things work out. But if let's say if Warner Brothers Discovery does happen to sign WWE, we'll have to wait and see what happens with AEW. Will that be the final death knell of the company, as people have been talking about it, being in decline, as ticket sales for AEW have not been as high as they would like. Been a lot of criticism of the product as well as late. And of course, speaking of AEW, last night they had their Dynamite event. So let me grab that here. Winter is coming. On last night's Dynamite, had Adam Page defeat Roderick Strong in the opening match. And in some of the, I guess they did play up some of the devil angle where Roderick Strong accused MJF of being the devil and devil mask as he portrayed that role in the past. Adam Page was accused of being the devil by Samoa Joe. Let's see, and then in the continuation, of course, the matches involving the Continental Classic, they did have one Blue League matchup last night in which Andrade scored his third victory in the round robin tournament, beating Brody King, extending his point total to 9 and currently taking the lead in the Blue League with 9 points, with Brody King and Bryan Danielson being tied for second. Of course, this also catches everybody up in the Blue League in terms of everybody having at least 3 matches. Everybody has 3 matches now. So there's 2 more to go. Andrade being leading the Blue League with 9 points, with Brody King and Bryan Danielson being tied for second with 6. Tied for fourth with 3 points each is Claudio Castagnoli and Eddie Kingston, and then Daniel Garcia is in last place with 0 points. Now, as for the Gold League, the matches that have been on the now before we get to the Gold League matches, in between the Blue League match and the start of the Gold League matches, there was a women's match in which Riho defeated, inaugural AEW World Women's Champion Riho defeated Ruby Soho. And then we get to the Continental Classic, the Gold League matches. Rush gained another 3 points, defeating Jay Lethal, getting up to 6. Jay White earned another 3 points, defeating Mark Briscoe, and Jon Moxley took a commanding lead with 12 points as he defeated Swerve Strickland in a battle of the 2 men who were the 2 men who were leading the point standing in the Gold League between the 2 guys with 9. Moxley gaining another 3, having yet to be defeated in the tournament. With now Swerve Strickland and in the Gold League, Swerve Strickland and Jay White in second place with 9 points each. Rush in fourth with 6, and then Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe. Now, of course, in the Gold League, well, basically the finals are set to be happening at the World's End pay-per-view. As of right now, the 2 matches that are announced for World's End, the last pay-per-view for AEW for the year, coming up on December 30th, will be, of course, MJF defending the AEW World title against Samoa Joe, and the finals of the Continental Classic, in which establishing their own Triple Crown with the Continental title, as well as the Ring of Honor World title and the New Japan Strong Openweight title, which were put up by Eddie Kingston. So with that, let's see. And we do have some, of course, Ring of Honor news, as well as some NWA news. As in the case of Ring of Honor, tomorrow night they will be having their final pay-per-view of the year, as Ring of Honor will be having Final Battle from Garland, Texas. So as soon as I can find that here. So tomorrow night from Garland, Texas, from the Curtis Culwell Center in Garland, Texas, Ring of Honor will be having its final pay-per-view of the year, Final Battle. The main event is slated to be the main event. Athena will be defending the Ring of Honor Women's World title against Billie Starkz, as Billie Starkz looks to basically avenge the treatment she got as a minion in training from Athena by taking the one thing that Athena holds real dear right now, the Ring of Honor Women's World Title. In the finals of the Survival of the Fittest tournament for the Ring of Honor World Television title, a title that was vacated by Samoa Joe so he could pursue the AEW World title. 5 of the 6 participants have already been announced, and one more will be Dalton Castle, Kyle Fletcher of the Don Callis family, Lee Moriarty of the Shane Taylor Productions, Commander Lee Johnson, and one more to be announced will be the participants in the 6-way match. Shane Taylor of Shane Taylor Productions will be taking on Keith Lee. In an I Quit match, the varsity athlete Tony Nese with Mark Sterling in his corner will be taking on All Ego Ethan Page. In a six-man tag team match, taking a break from their work in the Continental Classic. Blackpool Combat Club members Brian Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, and John Moxley will be taking on Mark Briscoe and FTR. El Hijo del Vikingo will be putting the AAA Mega title on the line against Black Taurus, who also I think still under contract with Impact Wrestling. And to open up the show, Wheeler Yuta will be putting the Pure title on the line against Tom Lawler. So that's going to be happening tomorrow night on at the pay-per-view. And then in NWA news, they on Power last night, or on Power on Tuesday, a couple of nights ago. And let's see. In the opening match on Power the other night, former NWA United States champions Daily Kill and Talos defeated the Heavenly Butterflies, who were making their debut in the NWA. Colby Corino retained the World Junior Heavyweight title over Joe Casio. Taylor Rising won a triple threat match with Erica Demia and Ali Rex. And in the main event of the night, Brothers of Construction got a DQ victory over the Immortals in an NWA United States tag team title match, in which a tag team known as the Kids interfered in the match by attacking the Brothers of Construction. So Matt Cardona also on this show on Power. Matt Cardona challenged EC3 to a death match for the NWA World Title, which has been answered and accepted for NWA Paranoia next month on the 13th. Of course, the day before Impact becomes TNA Wrestling again at Hard to Kill. So that's all I got for you in the wrestling wrap up. And now with all that, today being Thursday, December 14th, 2023, let's take a look back at this day in each history. History! Let me just quickly take a look here. 1993, 1998, and 2018 in both cases. Okay. So first I'm going to head back 30 years ago, as on this date, 30 years ago today. On this date, 30 years ago today, the 80th issue of Dark Horse Presents from Dark Horse Comics went on sale on this date 30 years ago today. Sold for $2.25. 32 pages, and this was an anthology series. In this particular case, they featured for this Monkey Man and O'Brien, the Eyeball Kid, and one other story. So, 30 years ago today, the 80th issue of Dark Horse Presents went on sale on newsstands. Now getting ready to move on to the next piece of niche history here. We head back 25 years ago today. On this date, 25 years ago today, the night after the In Your House Rock Bottom pay-per-view from the WWE, they held the Monday Night Raw event from the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington. The night saw in the main event, The Rock retained the WWF Championship over Triple H. The Rock had Shawn Michaels in his corner. Triple H had Chyna in her corner. In a no holds barred match, Kane and Mankind went to a no contest. The guitar on the pole match, Jeff Jarrett defeated Steve Blackman. In a match for the WWF Tag Team Championship, Ken Shamrock and Big Boss Man, with Shawn Michaels in their corner, defeated the New Age Outlaws to become the new WWF. I mean, again, this is the night after the Rock Bottom pay-per-view, mind you. In exactly 3 minutes, Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown, with Terry Reynolds and Jackie in their corner, defeated two members of the Job Squad, Bob Holly and Scorpio, who had Al Snow, Dwayne Gill, and Blue Meanie in their corner. Goldust had defeated the Blue Blazer by DQ. And opening the show, Val Venus and the Godfather defeated the Brood of Edge and Christian. So there we go with that. So 25 years ago today, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event from the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington. 5 years ago today, a couple of movies came out. 2018. First off, Marvel Entertainment's Columbia Pictures Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse had its widespread U.S. premiere on this date 5 years ago today. Almost 2 full weeks after it premiered at the Regency Village Theater. On this date 5 years ago today, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse had its widespread U.S. premiere on this date 5 years ago today. And finally, also on this date, 2018 is just so nice. We're going to hit it twice. It's also on this date. So while Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is premiering in the States, in Japan, Dragon Ball Super Broly premiered in Japanese theaters on this date 5 years ago today. Now, of course, it would be, I think about a couple months later or a year later when it premiered in the United States, when this of course marked the final time that Vic Mignogna voiced Broly before this was eventually the thing that led to Vic being forced out of the role over those sexual harassment allegations. But on this day 5 years ago today in Japan, That was the English dub stuff, of course, but the Japanese premiere was on this date 5 years ago. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Don't forget, tomorrow night I'll have Rick Piper on, as we will be, of course, continuing our look at comics that went on sale in January 1940. Tomorrow night we'll be focusing in on a company we know of today now as Archie Comics, known back then as MLJ Enterprises. Be introducing everybody to Zip Comics #1 and introducing the characters such as Steel Sterling, Nevada Jones, Captain Valor, and Zambini. And of course, we'll be reading a couple other features as well, Queen of Diamonds and West Pointer as well. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.